Thank you. Welcome to Eureka Springs CAPC meeting in the auditorium here in Eureka Springs. It's April 23rd, 2025, 6 p.m. And who is our secretary now? Oh, Heather, will you read, call roll, please?
Shira Faust.
Here.
Steve Holyfield.
Here.
Robert Schmidt.
Here.
David Avanzino.
Here.
Colin Paul is absent. And Heather Wilson here.
Thank you. Agenda updates. Commissioners may add to the agenda with a motion, second, and vote. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Anybody wants to add anything or take anything away?
The only thing that I would just put is, and I'm sorry when I emailed this if it wasn't clear, the old business where it says Commissioner Qualifications Bios, that's actually a new topic.
It's a new topic. Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll move it down to D, new business. Anything else? Anybody else have any changes? I'll take a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Heather made the motion. Robert seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion is approved. Approval of minutes. We have the minutes for, you look at your tablet, March 26. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes from March 26, 2025
So moved.
minutes? David made the motion.
Second. Second that.
Dave made the motion and Shira seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Okay, public comments. Do we have anybody out there want to comment publicly? Long time no see.
I know you've been missing me. I am Damon Hinkey, and I live at 19 Thomas Drive. And I thought I would just, actually, I was out handing out some flyers. I saw Robert on the street, and I thought, you know what? I should probably go give some public comments because I'll start with the first part, which is Mardi Gras. I know Mardi Gras usually comes up about 3 weeks before Mardi Gras and starts talking about Mardi Gras. But we honestly have been talking a lot about what we're going to do next year because it's a big year for Mardi Gras. Predominantly because there's this other event called Valentine's Day that we're running up against. And it's what happens in the crew when that happens is everything gets packed from the second week of January to all the way to February 14th. Obviously, I think the 13th, 12th, something like that is the actual day parade. But we are aware of that. We have set the theme to try and go hand in hand. It's going to be Masquerade of the Heart to try and just play up Valentine's Day as much as we can and integrate it into Mardi Gras. All the dates, all the events are updated at EurekaSpringsMardiGras.org. So we need to start pushing that out as much as we can to just a distant event on the horizon. We will come back, meaning the crew will come back and talk to you about potential marketing funds. And I think we're sensitive to the fact that we don't need as much marketing to bring tourists into town for Valentine's Day weekend because it's going to be unbelievably packed that weekend, but there's still a lot of events with the night parade and the other taste of Mardi Gras and tertiary events that will still bring a lot of vibrancy into the first month and a half of the year. So certainly it's still a big deal for Mardi Gras to be involved. We had a great Mardi Gras meeting this year and talked about what is the dynamics, what is the purpose of Mardi Gras. Some of the crew were like, I thought we were more of a social club, but the actual bylaws say, no, our purpose is to bring vibrancy to Eureka Springs in the winter months. So we're taking that a little more serious. We're making sure that people are participating in the crew. Parades will be on point. I think we would like to put together some type of grand finale party in cahoots with the CAPC. I actually talked to Mike and Rodney Slane, and we had some plans this year, but they were a little too last minute. But we're talking about a parking lot party either in Basin Park or in the parking lot next to the auditorium and courthouse that would be either a crawfish boil type music situation. Anyway, we still have some plans for that. We're going to try and be much more ahead of our game to try and do something that's more fantastic for Mardi Gras in 2025. So be ready for that. The event to jump from way in the future to right now. It's unbelievable what we've got going on this weekend. I know that you guys are very aware of how many things are going on, but plug for yards and yards of yard sales. That has migrated from the Chamber of Commerce over to Rotary. I kind of head that up, but I do want you to be aware that Yards and Yards is this weekend. Yards.com. You just repeat the name twice because that's how many yard sales we have. It's worth repeating twice, yards.com. That will get you to the map and all the details. We're actually going to have kind of two functions out there. You can use the Google map that's always been out there. My app, Wayhopper, will actually have the yard sales as well, so that will guide them through the entire process. They can mark off the yard sale. It's designed for scavenger hunts, but it obviously applies to the yard sales because what is a yard sale but a scavenger hunt anyway? So it's going to be pretty dynamic. I have them both up there, so if somebody doesn't want to use the app, they can still use the Google map. It should navigate them through the city very well. The last thing that I want to talk about real quick, and I realize I'm cramming a lot into my 3 minutes /5, but Spring Fling. I don't know if anybody's heard any motorcycles rolling around, but I wanted to tell you, Mike knows this because he was a part of it, and Heather was a part of it too. We've had some roundtable discussions that I think we kind of debated on how effective were those, but the effectiveness is in the communication that we have now. We have Andy at Switchback, Jeff Gregory at Cat House, Marshall and Kyle Johnson at the Pine Mountain Village, all communicating. And here's a for instance that happened. You know, Jeff had a pretty good idea and said, why don't we honor Corey West? I don't know how many of you know Corey West. He's a local boy, national championship for the Bagger Series last year, on his way to being another national champion. The mayor is going to come out on Friday at 1 o'clock to Pine Mountain Village and honor him as Corey West Day as a proclamation. So I think that's going to be a great, there's 3 generations of motorcycling, multiple generations here in Eureka Springs. So if you didn't know about Corey West Day, you know about it now. So Friday at Pine Mountain Village at 1 p.m. if you can make it out there. But just to touch base on the amount of stuff that's going out there, one thing I want to tell you guys though too that I think you're aware of, it's our first permanent entertainment district event for a motorcycle rally, along with a temporary entertainment district here in town. I just put out the boundary signs. It goes from Benton Street up to the museum, so it's a small entertainment district, but that's going to include Amigos, Saddle Up, the new Twisted Tacos, and Cat House as all an ability to sell in that entertainment district. So cross your fingers. I hope everything will go well. I really don't expect any troubles there, but I've already been in touch with the police chief to make sure the signs are in place, that everybody's aware, stopped in at the businesses, made sure they're aware of where the boundaries are. So with any kind of luck, we'll have a great entertainment district. Along with, I just want to ramble off right quick, the events, I already told you about Corey West's proclamation on Friday, but on Saturday, there's a big run, 2 big runs. Adam Sandoval, I don't know if you know Adam Sandoval, but he bought Route 62 Motor Resort out on the highway. He's a great influencer for the motorcycle community. He is doing a ride out of Pine Mountain Village that's in cahoots, sponsored by Harley Davidson, Pig Trail Harley Davidson. He's doing some sponsorships with them, or they're sponsoring him. So that should be a really good ride. Corey West is also doing a ride at 9 a.m. out of Pine Mountain Village on Saturday, so that'll be great to have Corey be noticed, recognized on Friday, and then take everyone out for a ride. He has Froggy Moto generally, so does a lot of rides in the area. And Red Redenbaugh over at A Bikers Garage, I'm helping him with a poker run, so that'll be another poker run. Andy at Switchback is having a poker run, and I don't know if you know about Ozark Thunder Camp, I probably got the name wrong, but Jeff Gregory has the fairgrounds at Berryville rented out for an actual campground for motorcyclists. And Berryville is chiming in with the gun museum, what's Saunders Museum. They're trying to pull people in there. I'm sure Poncho Goldstein's will have a good crowd. They're trying to do more on the square. So theoretically, this Spring Fling event is kind of growing to our east, which we've never had that happen, and I'm kind of excited that that is happening. I think you might know that Full Throttle Saloon went in by the landing in Branson. There's some exciting stuff going on in the motorcycle arena in the area. There's a new Ducati and BMW dealership going to be in by October or by the end of the year in Rogers. So some exciting stuff happening in that entire market. And we're trying to make sure that the roundtable stays together, communicates with Mike, and has an upswing. And Another piece of it is nobody wants this to turn into Sturgis. We want to manage the motorcycles as they come through so we have a good flow, keep the sound out of town, but yet have them sleep here, have them eat here, and it should all work out really well for everybody. The last little point I got is I'm done
stretching it
after
3 minutes,
this.
sir.
Okay, this is it. I'll work with Mike on this. There's a mandala project in August that I've brought up to Mike a couple of times. It's $3,500. It brings people in August. I'll get with Mike and I'll give you a formal presentation on that. Thanks for giving me so much time and enjoy your evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
But you forgot the carving in the Ozark.
Time's up.
We're getting to that, Rod. Robert, we're getting to that. We're getting to that.
Any other public comments? Nope. Okay, that's it. And financial report, Ty?
All right, you should all have your financial report to look at.
Ty, can I interrupt? Danielle, I need your help for a second, please. These iPads don't agree with me.
Where's the other one?
I need it too.
You can go ahead, Ty. Sorry.
Okay. Starting with the balance sheet, 1.741 million in the bank. We go on to page, and I'm just going to go quickly over this. If you have any questions, just let me know.
Okay.
P&L starts on page 3. For March, tax collections were 91,000 with a budget of 95,000. Actual for the year, 292,000 with a budget of 293,000. If you go down to the bottom of page 4, it shows our total expenses for March were 182,000 with a budget of 231,000. For the year to date, total expenses 596,000 with a budget of 678,000. With our equity infusion brings it to 0. Does anyone have any questions over the P&L or balance sheet? All right, the next page shows the actual collections compared with 23, 24, and 25. You see the February collections so far are 80,000 compared to last year of 104,000, and to 2023, 96,000. We've been working on our past due collections, and so 2024 total for the year is over 2 million versus 1.9 in 23.
Great.
Not from a I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Not from a dollars perspective, Ty, but just from a how many more businesses owe for 2024.
Then I didn't include the past dues as part of the financial report because it's confidential information, but I did provide a sheet that shows the past dues. I have it, the top section is just the businesses that are just late by a month. And then I have a list of ones that are multiple months that we're working on collecting those payments. And so the ones on the bottom have taxes in 2024.
Do we know like a total dollar amount of what taxes are due from these individuals?
I don't have that number
Okay.
on the top of my head right now.
Yeah, I'm fine.
And it's
Sure.
not a complete number anyway, so it's hard to estimate that.
I do have a question, Mike. This is probably for you. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is number 8?
Bottom of the list or the top of the list?
Oh, from the multiple months past due list. Isn't that one primarily an Airbnb location? If I remember correctly, Robert, I think you actually brought this up at one point.
Which
Is
one?
that them?
Second
Not-
last?
Let's see. Second list, 1, 2, 3, 4 from the bottom. They only book with Airbnb, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a good question, and I don't have an answer on that.
Right.
However, and we'll get into this in just a couple of minutes about a way that we are trying to go ahead and ascertain who is who, and we've got a little bit of intel on that that has been supplied to us from key data points. That's part of our Madden workout here in just a few minutes. But I don't know the answer to that one specifically.
It's not. I just remembered the name of the place that I'm thinking about.
Okay. All
I
right.
mean, there was one,
Thank you, David.
You're welcome, Steve.
but.
Taking us on
again,
that
I mean,
ride.
on the list, I mean, there's a couple, I guess they're new still, and they just started, and I assume, because that's why they're behind, they were not aware if they're closed during the winter time, that they still need to file a report, and I guess that's probably one of the few, I mean, I could see one or two, they're probably sure they forgot to file because they thought, oh, I have nothing to file, so I don't file anything.
It's a situation, and you're right. One of the first things in the A&P application is that you have to file a monthly report, whether you're open or you're not. And we're going to, if you flip the page in here in a minute, we're going to talk a little bit about our procedure that we're implementing right now as part of basically Chapter 2.60 of the Eureka Springs Advertising and Promotion Taxes, which is the 18-page document. I won't read the document tonight, but you all have a copy of it. But we'll talk about how we're going about trying to do these collections right now in a kind of proper order.
Now you're at the, you really?
That's all I have. Oh, there is also the last page is
Now you're,
the market funding update, so where we stand on that.
We need to approve the financials, then I can get into this procedure.
Do what?
If you can get the financials approved, then I can get into this procedure.
Okay. Any more questions for Ty? All right. Do I have a motion to accept the financials as presented by Ty Reed?
So moved.
Heather made the motion, David seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
We do have a procedure that Ty and I put together, which basically is a result of the scope of Chapter 2.60 of the Advertising and Promotion Tax from Sections 2.60.01 to 2.60.24 from the City of Eureka Springs. It's an ordinance that was put together in 2007. It has been changed ever so slightly, but nothing major. But the point being, and I'm not going to read this because it's a lengthy document, but I do all want to make you aware of the fact that we do have a procedural statement right now that's basically a one-pager. We'll go ahead and post this publicly so that people do know that we are enforcing the A&P tax. We're doing quite a bit of work to try to go ahead and provide the commission with the collection information that you want. There is a little bit of procedural work to this, also legal procedures that goes into it. The Chapter 2.60 is a very demanding document that not only provides the alternatives for an A&P commission to go ahead and settle debt, also it provides relief for that person or collector that may feel that they're not being treated fairly. Ultimately, it all goes back to one thing. If you are in business and you're collecting the A&P tax, you need to remit it back to the A&P. That's the way it's supposed to be. And we're really working with people to explain that procedure to them. Ty and I both are making calls to people. We're actually making personal visitations and really just enforcing the law. And we're not trying to be difficult about it, but as part of our job as a collector, that's the responsibility of the collector to go ahead and take the 3%, put it aside, then remit it back to the A&P. That's why you were entitled to the business license to begin with, and that's the reason that you have the opportunity to go ahead and do business. And we do have a list here that seems to get a little wieldy at times, but at the same token, we're seeing successes within the collection effort right now. And sometimes it's just a matter of working with that collector to say, let's figure out how we can go ahead and get you caught up, and then working with them to do that. But it's also like herding cats. We have to chase them around, and we have to knock on the door sometimes, multiple times. But this procedure is in place right now, and we're doing due diligence to make sure that it's working out. Ultimately, what we do at the end of the day is if we have a serious problem, unfortunately, it goes back to City Council. And the council has an enactment procedure that is in place, but also starts with our attorney, and then we just work it through. So know that we're on top of this right now.
Robert?
We had one question last time, or request, you know, the ones which are multiple months behind, just remember that too, that we would see, or you would break them down how many months behind they are. Like we have the ones which are 1 month behind, so I guess that would be February probably. Is that the 1 month behind, or is that March?
We can't publicly disclose that, Robert.
No, I mean, we don't need to name them, but I thought we would break them down so we know which ones are like 2 months behind, 3 months behind.
If you want to come in the office, we can share that with you personally.
Okay.
So you're talking about the second bottom of the list, but just listing how many months, instead of just saying, the top is just 1 month, right?
Right.
And all the rest of them are multiple
But
months.
if, like 1 month, would that be February collections or is that March collections?
It's February.
February,
Right.
okay.
Okay. Any other questions, Robert? Anybody else?
Okay.
All right. Advertising liaison report. Shira is still new and still learning. She has advised me that she doesn't have anything to report at the moment. I said I'm sure Mike could fill in if we need anything.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Mike. Thank you.
Well, we do have a little bit of fun here to show you this evening. And the first thing you'll notice, if you look up at the big screen, you'll see a statue of Christ with a mountain bike jumping in front of it. And we'll get into the mountain biking portion here in just a second. But on the same token, this is one of the things that went to Dallas not too long ago in a big poster, and it got a lot of attention. People are kind of interested to see that. We had what's called a QBR, a quarterly business review, yesterday, as a matter of fact, with our agency, Madden Media, and we went through several things. It's a long document, but I pulled out the cherry parts of it that I think you'll find interesting and also understand what we're doing. The first thing I want to talk about is our core markets, which are the usuals: Kansas City, Springfield, Joplin, Fort Smith, Little Rock, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and Dallas. Our key growth markets, though, are becoming sort of greatly interesting. One is Chicago, that continues to sort of amaze us all. Wichita is a key growth market, St. Louis, Shreveport, Houston, as well as our friends elsewhere. Houston, Shreveport. Emerging markets are those little blue dots: the Sherman, Texas, the Memphis, Tennessee, and the Paducah, Kentucky. Later in our dialogue yesterday with Madden, we talked a little bit about the emerging markets and maybe the necessity to take a look at the monies we're putting in those emerging markets and pulling them back and being a little bit more emphatic and a little bit more dynamic in the growth and the key markets that we're trying to attain. It's not that we don't want Sherman, Texas, but I think we'll probably keep those guys. But if we go a little too far to the east, we may be losing a little bit of our chutzpah, if you will. And we want to make sure that we're covering our bases as well as we can, and we'll kind of get into the dollars and cents of that. But that's kind of a look at what we're doing. We have a kind of an interesting chart that they put together for us, and it's the big calendar of where things go. And if you take a look at those big bars at the very top, you see Google search engine marketing. That's on all the time, 24/7, 365. Google Demand Gen is a new thing. However, we started it in February, and it's another way to go ahead and let the search engine marketing do its thing with Google. And Google literally rules the roost. Whatever Google does, and it does it well for everyone. The Epsilon data overdrive that we use is another component to that marketing, which is a key index indicator for us. We started using that the 1st of April. There's a little bit of data we have on that. We pulled back, we didn't pull back, we put Expedia back into our mix starting March 1. And we've got some pretty good numbers from Expedia we'll share in just a moment. We like Expedia. We like the fact that they give us some really good analytics. They give us dollars and cents and room nights and stuff that help us understand what we're doing. Azira Television is that crazy thing that you see when you watch streaming television. And you'll see ads from different places, but that's what we do. We concentrate them in our areas of basically SEM areas and also our near me areas. Near me, we use that phrase sometimes, is described as that area that's about 50 miles as a radius around Eureka Springs. And those are the people that enter into our zone that we can capture. Azira display is very similar to what Azira does on television, except it is banner display on the web. A lot of people use streaming devices, and you'll see, for instance, on your phone, you'll look at something on Netflix, and you'll see an ad, and that usually is an Azira component. Our meta prospecting and remarketing are basically what Facebook is, if you will, social media and Instagram, and we do that all the time, and we're on all the time. We have 2 months this year that we're bringing in our influencers again. We've got one arriving shortly in May, and then we've got another planned in the month of October. We also have another one that's coming out of Little Rock shortly from AY Magazine. We're kind of excited about that one. From a regional perspective, these are the things we do in print-wise. People still like print. AY Magazine, Kansas City, 417, which is out of Oklahoma City. I'm sorry, 417 is out of Missouri. 405 is out of Oklahoma City. Arkansas Bride, again, we're going to go back in OKC in June, and then AY, 417, KC, then Arkansas Bride, and then Kansas City again. Then we started picking up on a thing called the Arkansas State Guide Custom Emails. And these are things that are coming out as a match with the state of Arkansas. They pay 50%, we pay 50%. It's about $1,500, and they give us kind of an exclusive to throw out a lot of emails. And we've done that. We're going to do it again in October. It's just a good component to work with the state, and that's arkansas.com. And then we have billboards that we're utilizing on a year-round basis in Northwest Arkansas, Kansas City. And if you go up and down I-49, you'll see one. We're trying to move one right now to the intersection of Walton and 102. Walton and 102 is 2 blocks from the Walmart home office. And offices, as it were. That's the intersection where at 5 o'clock you will sit through that light 5 times before you get through it. It's a double stack. You'll read the board 6 times, and it's a great location to be in. We're also going to pick up Kansas City football again in KC on I-70 and I-435 as you go through Kansas City. We're also looking at potentially putting a board over in Overland Park, which is Johnson County. Kind of the last part of this, mentioned this a minute ago, Reddit is on. We started Reddit beginning in March, running it for about 3 months, and it's kind of showing some interesting results for us. Clip Trips, another one, and then we're also picking up, starting in May, some iHeartRadio podcasts. I don't know what those podcasts are yet. However, we found that podcasting is really such a huge thing, and people are paying attention to them. I listen to podcasts, a lot of people do. We find it is sort of a generational thing that's very good. A little bit of information about what we call our SEO, Search Engine Optimization Q1 updates. And this is where we can actually see what's trending for us. And if you look at the top one that says UL clicks over time, URL clicks over time, you'll take a look at what is the previous year in the light blue and the current year, which is in dark blue. And jump up to March 12th, when all of a sudden some of these things were really starting to hit, we started really shining. So in the first quarter, we picked up 47,000.2 clicks. Well, let's put it that way. How do you say that? 47,000.2. And our URL impressions were 5 million. So our impressions went up 69%, and our URL clicks went up 23.9%, which was really huge. And then the impressions over time, similarly, just if you take a look at where we were in 2024 versus where we are in 2025, we're way above. So what's happening is our clicks are showing continued growth. Our impressions are continuing to arise. It's worth noting in the last little line down there that Visit Eureka Springs saw 5 million impressions in Q102 or Q1, first quarter of 2025, with an increase of more than 2 million views when compared to the first quarter of 2024. So we jumped 2 million views in a year in one quarter, which is really pretty good stuff. Wow. Our public relations continues to be just what a pleasure. This really is. If you look at the ad value equivalency of $909,628, almost $1 million in PR equivalency. Travel Pulse picked us up, the Washington Post picked us up, CNN Travel picked us up. Madden delivered 8 different publications to us, and those are 34 publications that also picked us up that weren't just part of Madden. We're starting to get this organic reach out there in the universe about Eureka Springs, and it's coming from basically all over the United States, and I'm certain other parts of the world as well. But, you know, if we hit $1 million every quarter, that'd be $4 million in PR that we didn't have to spend hardly any money on to get. And that's a big deal. So I'm really pleased with, you know, really how that worked out. Just a little bit of the analytics here. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly unless you've got a question. We had a whole bunch of SEM clicks, search engine marketing clicks, 38,000. In our near me, which again is that 50-mile territory around us or so, 8,400 clicks. The new thing, the Google Demand Gen, 46,000 clicks, which again, Google rules the roost. Our meta prospecting was great with 13,000 clicks. And our engagement rate down there is just really getting good, 50%, which means when these people go to it, they spend time with us, they stay with us. And then our meta remarketing, which again is the Facebook engagement rate, is still very, very good. And, you know, 1,112,000 impressions just in our remarketing. That means that people are coming back to us. In our Azera TV, which again is television, where people are looking at us, 150,000 impressions, engagement rate 4.55. Doesn't seem like a lot, but really the average is like 0.009. Our display with Azera is 4.42 click-throughs, which isn't bad. The one that I'm impressed with and interested in is Reddit. We had 412,000 impressions, and that's new. Clip Trips is new with 72,000 impressions. And Expedia, if you'll take a look at just that line alone, 421 clicks, 484,000 impressions, click-through ratio of 0.09, $1,116 in room nights. Well, actually, the gross bookings were $435,000. And I think that number is actually 1,116 room nights, not dollars. And the return on the average spend, 31.3%. So for Expedia, it's just a great fit for us. This last little metric here is our key site metrics, and this is basically for the first quarter again. And these two numbers are basically what's called total users and the engaged users. And I'm not going to bore you too much with that. But if we go all the way back to the first line, which is April of 24, and then jump over to March of 25, you see that we're growing in both our engaged sessions and also our engagement rate. Okay, here's the difference between these two things. We added 2 million people in the first quarter that we didn't have last year. 2 million more. So that means there's more people out there punching and clicking. What we look for in the impressions is that they spend 10 seconds with us. 10 seconds, or they go to a couple of different pages. So our engagement rate is going way up. Our clicks are up. But what we're hoping for is that engagement rate continues to grow. And what we're seeing in that one line up there at the very top, it says average session duration 4 minutes. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Ain't bad.
That's right. That's 4 minutes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's happening is people are going to visit eurekasprings.com and they're staying there. We have some further analytics we'll talk about a little later, but we also saw where people are going after they leave visit eurekasprings.com and they're going to our own partners' websites. We saw a whole lot of that today, and we were so pleased to see those numbers. Sometimes they'll show that people are exiting, they leave your website. That was Google's exit things and so forth. But now we know where they're going, and we can see that. and we saw this list of about 50 different partners that we have that people are clicking going to after they go to visit eurekasprings.com. So that means that when you're on the visit eurekasprings.com website, you've got power to know that you're going to be hit as well. So it's a good thing. '25 marketing pillars. We'll talk a little bit about that. We have 4 main pillars that we went to Madden with at the start of 2025. 1 was weddings, 2 was trolleys, 3 was nightlife, and 4 was mountain biking. All right, let's talk a little bit about mountain biking. I think there's a little bit of curiosity about that. Some people have asked about, what are y'all doing with the mountain biking? Well, here we are, mountain biking in Eureka Springs. That shot, which is another one of Edward Robinson's famous shots, is not going down backwards, it's going up. That's what you call the big ramp. It's amazing what happens. Well, we know it's big business, terrifically big business. The Walton Family Foundation about 4 or 5 years ago did a tremendous study that had shown millions of dollars that were coming into Northwest Arkansas just because of a few trails. Well, now we've got many, many, many trails. And it is just one of those phenomenons that we can't get enough of. In fact, one of the things that we are doing in Eureka Springs is making sure that mountain biking is really a big pillar for us. It's one of the 4. So, for instance, the Fat Tire Festival is back. We're excited about that. The Gravity Feed is brand new. That's going to bring a whole new group of people into Eureka Springs that we've never seen before. Of course, we're supporting our Parks Department with brand new trail maps, which are coming out very soon. We are doing a lot of work on visiteurekaSprings.com with mountain biking to ensure that people can find that experience they want when they get here. For instance, we got a specific URL for that people can click on and get there. And an extended promotion with the Northwest Arkansas Tourism Association. Of course, we like the idea that we think Eureka Springs mountain biking is probably bigger than anybody else's. So our Parks Department Director, Sam Dudley, wants to name it Shred City. You shred guitars, you shred potatoes. Well, why don't you just shred bikes? But, his point is well taken. We've got so much in our trail system right now. And then when we match that with not only ours at Lake Leatherwood, but also with the Great Passion Playgrounds, we have some of the best trails probably in North America right now, this side of the Mississippi River. And that's a pretty big phenomenon for us to have. So mountain biking is at the top of our food chain, very much so. And that generational aspect of it's important for us. We had a great discussion during the governor's conference with Outside Magazine about doing some more work within Eureka Springs. A few years ago, we did a 4-page spread in conjunction with NADA. And there's very good chance that we'll come back and do that again because that's just such an important place to be. Yes, sir.
Quick question, Mike. I have no idea what it's called. This like skateboard-looking thing that's on one fat wheel. It's called a one wheel. I am seeing more and more of those in the city, like coming off of Magnetic onto Main. It's insane. They do night GoPro stuff, day GoPro stuff. Are we tapping into them by chance?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Okay, because I see more and more of them every year.
I see them going up Main Street.
The club has an agreement with the
The club has an agreement with the Passion Play. Okay.
Okay.
That's that really looking like a skateboard with a fat tire underneath it, but it's one tire and it's motorized.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Crazy. Okay. But no, that's an interesting phenomenon.
There was an event last year, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look on YouTube, you can see dogs riding those things, that's amazing how they can do that.
So much for that, but that's the world of Madden. That's also a little bit of our world of mountain biking. Just a few other things to kind of clean up some things here. The ESMA Awards were a huge success. Thank you, commissioners, for being such an integral part of it. We had just incredible response from it. So many people were happy about it, and we reached a group of people that some of them, I don't know if they've ever been in the auditorium before, but that was a great chance for them to be here and get recognized for something that was very, very, very cool. We are awaiting the opportunity, as soon as I get out of this, I've got another little cute thing to show you here. Basin Spring Park, y'all have seen that recently and what it may look like?
It looks so good.
Yeah, it's getting there. Well, we are, we're waiting for the mayor to give us the date that he will come up and help us put it all together. And that's basically to go ahead and if you will, bless it, or cut the ribbon or whatever. But I went up there today and I was shooting some additional pictures of it. And, you know, it just sort of stands out as, you know, just a great example of what Eureka Springs does so well. You know, there's some things that are going on with it right now. Again, they're putting some things in. These banners on the stanchion poles up there are so cool. I love the photography that they put on these banners, and I thought this is just such a neat thing for people to be able to see. And again, there is where the fountain is going to go, and we're hopeful that that gets in, hopefully by the week's end. The other thing that you may have missed if you haven't been downtown recently is this. This is the bridge that goes across Main Street from one side to the other, and today they were still pumping iron to get that up there, which is pretty amazing. Goggles, Gears, and Springs this weekend, Steampunk and the parade will be here. And I do want to go ahead and say we have music in the park with shiny objects, fossils also coming up. This is like a TV, yards and yards and yards of yard sales, as well as carving in the Ozarks and the Great Passion Play, the Spring Fling, and wait for it, Ozarks Corral, 7 p.m. on Sunday at the auditorium. We have a couple of requests here that I want to talk about also. We, as one of our pillars, was the work on trolleys, and we had approached Edward Robinson about producing a video for trolleys, and he said he'd love to do it. We have a contract with him right now. That contract would cost $7,500, but he would produce a 2-minute video, which again probably would win some sort of an award about how cool it would be. But we can share that video not only with transit, but with the city, and of course CAPC, then other things that we can extrapolate that video from and use for a long, long time. We really haven't promoted anything visually like this before with transit or another department, but we think this is a good fit, so we'd like to ask permission to be able to go ahead and exercise that contract.
So it's over $5,000. We need a motion for the commission to pay for it. So anybody else have any questions about the video itself? Or
No, I just want to say that $8,500 for a 2-minute video is a very good price.
75.
I'm sorry, $7,500. I make a motion to approve $7,500 for a video on the trolleys.
I second that.
Heather made the motion, Shira seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries, approved.
Okay, very good. We'll get you and David and so forth to look for the contract. We have one other request here. This one is for the Blues Festival. One of the situations we've run into, obviously, and we talked about it at the beginning of the year in budgeting, was the money that we have set aside in the auditorium for acts to come and play. We have $40,000 in the bank. We've been asked to help out, at least in terms of this one act, which is called Indigenous, which is going to play at the Blues Festival. And what I've discussed with the promoter Little Wing, Larry Schaefer, is that we would go ahead and hire Indigenous, but he would go ahead and give us basically our rental fee and also 50% of the gate, and we would go into it. But we would need to go ahead and produce a check for $8,000. And I have a contract, not with Little Wing, but with the band to do that. And then really our output would be earnings of concessions and then whatever we bring in on Blues night for that concert. So I got an $8,000 ask.
How much?
$8,000.
8,000.
Right.
What's the name of the band?
Indigenous.
Indigenous. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve $8,000 for Indigenous.
Second.
Heather made the motion, David seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Approved.
And the only other thing I would say is that because of the ESMA awards and because of the traveling and because of everything that we've been doing, if you come into the CAPC office over the past month and you went, boy, that place looks like a mess. Yeah, we know. But that's the way it is, and we're trying to clean it up. So just know that we're working diligently to go ahead and look like a professional office again. So thank you very much.
I don't think that's a high priority.
I don't think it's ever going to get
pretty.
perfect.
Robert?
I have a couple questions, but thank you for the reporting. So, last meeting, you showed us a video from the opera. Is that anywhere public, or can you publicize that somewhere on the Facebook or on our website? Is that still?
They took it down.
Was that just for us?
Well, that was just for you. I got permission to show it to you all, which basically meant that it was seen by a lot of people. But I wanted to access it again, and whoever the producer was, and I don't know who it was, they took the video down.
No.
So we don't have access. I will say this about the opera, however. We did get permission to go out today to take some pictures, and that's part of what Madden has wanted to do with some of the PR they are doing. And a little bit more about it. We have been able to be somewhat instrumental, I guess, through our PR efforts to bring CBS Morning News in to do a story. CBS Saturday is going to do a story on them. Harry Smith, a longtime NBC and CBS broadcaster, is going to be the MC for the event. And they are, really on the cusp of becoming, they've already been world class, but this really elevates them to a whole new level. So it's going to be a fairly exciting time, and we're excited about what is going to happen with opera. But I don't have that video right now, no.
On another part, have you recently been to one of the Arkansas visitor centers by chance?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if people are aware, but they should technically, but some maybe not. In the past, the businesses who were willing to print the rack card, they had the rack card displayed at all the 13 visitor centers around the state. Apparently, I got an email, and like probably everybody else should have, that they are pulling all the rack cards from those displays, and they are going totally digital. So if you had a rack card, they're actually shipping it back if you ask them to have it shipped back. For the remaining ones, which are now still, I guess they collected them from all over the state. But I'm just curious how they advertise now for the individual businesses, since, before, when you had a rack card, you were present, people were able to see you there. Now this part is kind of gone. And I don't know how it looks like now, because I don't have a visitor guide or visit the center right over. I will have to go to Harrison probably to see something.
That's a good question. We have a very good ally, a gentleman named William Armacost, who heads up the Bentonville Bella Vista Visitor Center. And he is quintessentially one of the longtime employees of the TICs, and I'll be happy to call him tomorrow and find out. I had not heard that. So that's a new one to me. Yeah.
I did speak to the visitor center people when I received the letter, and they said exactly that they're moving to digital kiosks and things that people want, not to have something in hand that takes up so much space, and instead that they'll help advertise lodging and restaurants via a digital search.
So everything's going to be a QR code, I guess.
I don't know if they have like our Visit Eureka Springs website on the screen for Northwest Arkansas advertising, or like I said, I have not seen what they did. I was just surprised that they pull all the rack cards. Everybody who has been to a visitor center, they know there's tons of rack cards all over the place. And if they removed all the rack cards, that place must be empty. So it would be interesting to see pictures or so how they rearranged everything and how effectively they advertise now for Eureka Springs.
My understanding is that there will still be attractions and things that will be advertised with rack cards and other physical documents, stuff like that.
So is it just for the
visitors'
lodging?
guides and things? I believe it's just lodging and restaurants.
Okay, I'll check into that. We also have another asset too in Berryville, Randy Langover, who runs Cosmic Cavern. He basically is the guy that delivers all that stuff. And it may hurt his business, I don't know, but I'll find out.
Okay.
And one last question was I don't know, did you have a chance to talk to the people from Cruise the Ozark, the magazine?
They sent me a telephone call, or they gave me a telephone call a week ago, and yes, we are probably going to go do something in the fall when we get around to October. So,
Okay.
I can't remember the gentleman's name, but there's a couple of those guys, and they come around, and they gave us a call last week, so.
Yeah. The new magazine is coming out in May or something. It's probably that's for the annual one.
All right. Is that it for Mike's director's report and liaison report? Moving on to old business, amended bylaws, chair term limits. So this had to be put back on here so we can add it to our bylaws. Do we need to read it again or just?
If you want to, the succession of the terms is something you need to go ahead and vote on one more time, I guess, kind of like an ordinance. I will say this, that we did send that information over to Watkins, and I actually had to send them the 2 different ordinances that refer to that. And also the same thing with the appointment of the at-large position. And as of noon today, I had not heard back from the law firm, so I don't have an answer for you on that one from them directly. So.
Okay. It's on page 1 of the bylaws?
No, it's
No,
right here in the last meeting.
the last meeting.
So we don't have a new set.
We need sort code.
Our last
Okay,
meeting.
it's not in there.
Okay.
So it's in there. But Bill hasn't approved it yet.
So should we postpone this again?
I mean, this was the one.
Yeah, if you would, I think we should until we hear back from Bill Watkins on this.
Okay. Pending legal advice, we'll wait and do this again, so put it back on the agenda for next month, please.
Yeah, you're still set till the end of the year.
Yeah. Thanks.
Wait, I had a conversation with Kim about this as well, not on the term limits, so to speak, but rather on the at-large position. And there seems to be 3 ordinances out there, and I sent all 3 over to Watkins, and I think that may be the reason they're trying to figure it out. It's a little complicated how it came about. And in 2007 there was something, in 2015 there was something, then there was something else that came along. And they have sort of superseded each other in one way or the other. Ultimately, at the end of the day, and it's not a negative, it's just that the mayor does not feel that he should be the one picking the at-large position.
Right.
Should be the commission, so.
Mike, can you send me those ordinances that she's referencing?
Yes,
Thanks.
be happy to.
Right. You know, when I came on the commission, of course, the director had quit, everybody had quit except our financial director. And then we tried to pull all the bylaws together, and there was 3 different versions with no dates on them at all. So this is still us trying to clean this up, I think. You know, I think it's a good effort. B, VRBO, Mike?
Good news. VRBO signed the contract, and we will be starting our collections with VRBO beginning June 1, 2025. And I actually got an email today from their law firm asking if everything was intact, and I said, yes, thank you, and we're happy to move on with VRBO starting 1st of June.
Great. Do you have any questions about that?
But I'm assuming they will not deliver a detailed list of all the ones who contribute to it. Not with the amount, but maybe with the names.
No, sir.
No, sir.
That's interesting. I wonder why they're not willing to come forward with that information.
So to clarify, it comes in one lump sum?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just have to use your imagination, Steve. It's the best thing I can say. I have a feeling that, I do know this, if you went back 2 years, they would go ahead and supply that data, but the information would be 24 months or older. That I have heard. I heard that from one of our reps from Madden. On the same token, I have a feeling that because of the things that they are trying to do and have tried to do, for instance, just recently in Arkansas with the STR situation, you know, they're a very difficult group of people to work with. They're very difficult to communicate with on purpose. So it's not terribly surprising. But this data apparently is something that they just don't want you to know about. And I have a feeling that it probably is linked, and I'm just being, you know, just using my own imagination here, probably linked to the fact that Airbnbs can start and stop and start and stop.
Okay.
You know, you bring me up to another thought. Where are we on that House bill, which was, is that now through, or is that still in the,
It died.
it died?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Okay, new business. A, funding requests. Up first is Voices of Silent City. Sir?
I'm not as tall as Damon, so I'm going to move this a little bit. My name is Jeff Danos. I'm here on behalf of the Eureka Springs Historical Museum. I appreciate you guys hearing me out tonight. I actually had 2 funding requests. I don't know if we're
We're doing one at a time, but
Yep,
you can
okay.
just stay up there.
Yep,
once
yep.
we count this one.
Yes, essentially we are asking, we're doing a funding request for it's our 2 largest fundraisers for the museum. And that would be the Voices from Eureka's Silent City, which happens in October, as well as a newer event that we're doing this year. It's the 1973 Long Hair Invasion. This is part of a time travel themed event.
I know.
Last year we did a 1898 event that was called the Jailbird Ball. So this one's a little different, but that's the intention is every year to change things up and focus on a different year and bring back the history and make it a lot of fun for people. I don't know if you guys know, but we are a independent nonprofit, so we are not owned or operated by the city. So we do rely heavily on these fundraisers for our operating. In fact, Voices alone constitutes almost a third of our operating budget. So very important that we get these, particularly now we're a little concerned too. We have some grants that we typically rely on that have kind of dried up right now. NEH grants, Arkansas Humanities grants, IMLS grants. These are all museum funding that we usually try and go for. So again, we're really going to be pushing these fundraisers this year, and I hope you guys can help us with that. But even if you decide not to, I also want to thank you because I don't know if you guys heard, but we were actually named the 4th best small town museum in the United States recently. By USA Today Reader's Choice Awards, which I know that the CAPC's efforts were a big part of that. And so, you know, I think we make a great team, and we appreciate everything you guys do to put our city on the map. For the first event, I think, you want me to go chronologically? I'll talk about the long hair invasion first. So it's in August. It's August 8th. What we're trying to do with these events, too, is we're trying to find times of the year where there's not a lot happening. And so last year we did something at the end of November, and this year, like I said, we're just kind of reaching out, checking the calendars, talking to the venue. You know, when do you typically not see things happening? And so this August the 8th is the date that we found on this one. Again, this is the theme is 1973, and we're calling it the Long Hair Invasion because if you know a little bit about the history of Eureka, the late 60s, early 70s was a time when Eureka kind of went through this kind of rebirth. We had a lot of the hippies, the artists, the musicians, the writers, the misfits, basically, moved here at that time. And one of the large events that happened at the time was actually a music festival that was almost like a big Woodstock festival. It happened north of town near Oak Hill, and it was called the Ozark Mountain Folk Fair. That's not to be confused with the Folk Festival, which was a different event entirely. But that single event was credited by a lot of people in town as being the thing that brought them here and really got them to want to move to Eureka Springs. So that's going to play a large part in this event. You know, we're going to have entertainment. We'll have themed food. We're going to have activities that they can go through, and obviously a lot of history. But we're trying to make it fun. We're trying to make it kind of an immersive experience, not just your typical museum experience, but something where our guests will actually be playing parts. And so they're going to be part of it, just like last year with the Jailbird Ball, where everybody participated in that. So does anybody have any questions yet about that event?
Questions, anybody?
Well, the one question, Voices of the Silent City.
Okay.
Well, he's doing. He's doing
Or
fusion.
which one we go first?
You want to do this one first?
Long
or-
hair.
The long, oh, okay.
Sorry.
Let me see here. Okay, we have the ad budget, what you gave us, very detailed. And, well, okay, for that part, I don't have a question really. Like, I think,
Okay.
Okay.
you know what we pay and what we can pay, so.
Yes, sir.
And for this one, you're requesting 3,600,
2650.
2650.
Yeah.
Motion to approve $2,650 for Eureka Springs History Museum Long Hair Invasion.
I second that.
Heather made the motion, Shira seconded for $2,650 to the long hair invasion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no.
Groovy.
Groovy dude.
Okay, so
Now, the next one.
the other event is, of course, our biggest one, and that would be Voices from Eureka Silent City. I know that this is kind of a legacy event. Like I said, it does cover about a third of our operating budget, so it is very important to us. Last year, we actually saw a lot of growth. We went from just under 1,000 people to about 1,300. So we're seeing, like I said, a lot of growth there with that event. This year, we're changing the dates just a little bit to accommodate for Zombie Crawl. That was one of the things that Transit had told us. There's no way we can do both when it comes to the trolleys. And so that second weekend, you'll notice the dates are a little different. But we still anticipate that we'll be getting a good crowd, a lot of return visits. We get a lot of people that do come to town just for this event. It is just, like I said, it's one of our most popular. When it comes to the theme, we haven't really released the theme publicly yet, but I can do a little bit of that right here. It's either going to be Dastardly Deeds or Untimely Demise. And so you can think about what that means. Last year was Year of the Woman. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I welcome questions from anybody. In case you've never been to Voices before, essentially what it is we have character actors in the cemetery who portray people that are buried there in the cemetery. And so they talk to you about what their life was like, what Eureka Springs was like at that time. And it's a really, really unique experience. When I've been at the museum for 4 years now, and sadly, I have to admit I did not attend Voices until after I started working at the museum. I did have an excuse because Octobers tend to be, they were very busy for me, for those of you that know that we were doing the Zombie Crawl. But it is a world-class production. I mean, these actors that we have are incredible. Every year they do an amazing job. Our scriptwriter is amazing. And so, we really just appreciate y'all partnering with us on it because I think that it's something that it's unique to Eureka. I know there's other towns that do these cemetery-type tours, but I think we do it differently, and I think there's just something about our cemetery that's really special. And our history, which of course is, I believe, I mean, I'm biased, but I think that's one of the biggest drivers we have to our town is people that are just fascinated by the history of our town.
Great.
I played Claude Fuller one year.
What's that?
I played Claude Fuller one year.
Did you really?
He's the guy that built this place.
Yeah, he was responsible for it.
He was quite a guy.
But I know you had some questions.
So, okay, now I take the time. So this is a long time event.
It is.
And I know from my guests, there's a lot of people, they like to go there and they always think it's very funny. It's very interesting. I'm with you. I never had the time to go there so far. It's, we have business and so you can't just walk away. My question here is why do you still need us? For next year, we will shift down on long-term events and just, try to promote new stuff and the other ones who don't need us really.
I understand.
I mean, you're making profit. On top of that, the CAPC is paying an amount every month to the museum to keep you going for your advertising for the tourist information. And so, you're making a profit with this event, and it's not the small profit.
I understand.
So
Yeah, no.
why do you still need us?
Well, essentially, like I
$4,000
said,
or $5,000.
this is our, this is a big part of our operating budget. So, I mean, it's largely just a situation where, it helps us out if you guys partner with us. And as a nonprofit, I think that the money that we make off this event, and it has grown, but the money that we've made off this event has allowed us to enhance the museum. And I think if you ask around, not trying to toot my own horn, but I think if you ask around, you're going to hear a lot of people talk about how the museum is doing very well right now. And they're not talking about financially. They're talking about in the ways that we're serving the community and the engagement that we have with the community and everything else. And so I guess basically what I put it down to is, do we need it to do the event? I mean, is the event going to go away if we don't get it? No, it's not. But I think that, given your position in advertising the city and backing events that are important to the city, I mean, we could say the same thing about the Folk Festival. That's been going on a really long time. We still pump a lot of money into it, but I think it's a very important event that deserves to be funded because it's part of who we are. It's part of our culture. And I guess I would argue that I think the Voices from the Eureka Silent City is on par with that.
Shira?
Oh, David, it's David.
I'm sorry, David.
So, Jeff, just a quick question. In light of and I'm just going to go there, the political climate that we're in, has the museum faced or are they facing any cuts in funding from grants?
Well, there have been grants that we couldn't apply for, essentially.
That you could not apply for?
Correct. They're not currently available. IMLS, for example, has a museum assessment program that we're planning on doing, and it's gone.
It just disappeared?
It's just gone, yeah. And also the Arkansas Humanities grants, they're just not accepting anything, which honestly, I thought at first, most of our grants are state grants. We don't get a lot of federal grants too often. They're very competitive. I have got NEH grants before, but unfortunately, like the Arkansas Humanities grants are actually funded by the NEH. So everything's kind of on hold right now. Like I said, we're cautiously optimistic. I think we're in a good place. It just means that there's things that we would have liked to do to improve the museum, to basically improve our ability to conserve the materials that we have, for example. And some of those things are going to have to be on hold for a little while.
Okay. And the reason I bring that up, Commissioners, is that, the nonprofits throughout our state are going to be extremely challenged this year. I sit on one board where state funding was at one point $70 million, and now it's less than $10 million. And these are for victims, they're victims advocate programs. So from 70 to less than 10. That's a huge hit. I can only imagine what humanities and arts may be facing. And although I appreciate your question, Robert, I do think that in light of what's going on, we should support, especially our nonprofits, any chance that we get.
I mean, I understand that we have to support, and I mean, I'm a big fan of the Historical Museum, and I've seen the changes, and I think you did a great job. But we were talking before that on previous meetings that we're going to change the way we're going to support funding, and I just want to make you aware that maybe next year, I'm not sure if we can grant you another $5,000.
Right.
We kind of have to treat everybody then the same. We can't say, we do this. Then we need, if this is important, then we need to find another way and say, hey, maybe we have to give you an increase in your visitor center support.
Right.
Or
no,
to help you out.
And I did reach out to Mike's office, and I said, because I know this has been a discussion that's gone back and forth a lot about legacy events, and are we going to continue to fund them? And that was the question when I reached out. I said, well, do I apply? Do I still apply? And he said, well, they're talking about it, but it hasn't been completely decided for this year to not fund any of those. So that's why I went ahead, and that's why I'm here. So.
And we'll look at that next year, really based on our budget and stuff too. if our budgeting turns around and we pull in a lot more money than we did this year, we can be more generous.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the $5,000 for Voices of the Silent City for the Historical Museum.
I second that.
David made the motion and Robert seconded for $5,000 to Voices, the Silent City, to the Eureka Springs Historical Museum. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. It is approved. Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
all so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Moving on, B, training, education, municipal league, et cetera. Heather.
I think we've touched on this in the past, kind of here and there. Just given a lot that goes on in the city of Eureka Springs and dealing with tax dollars and changes and bylaw changes, I thought there was some kind of education or training that the municipal league offers to commissions. Is that true? And if so, is that something that we could schedule for one of our workshops?
I don't know. That should be a good question, however, because commissions are integral to all municipalities, one way or the other, from big cities to small cities. And the composition of commissions, as Steve and I have discussed just recently, seems to be a little different across the board for one reason or the other. And it may be because of bylaws that haven't been updated in a while, or maybe in the case of Mountain Home, a commission that just kind of forgot that they were supposed to do diligence and involve the public in what they were doing, and they did not very well. But I think that one of the people we could ask that question to is Tom Kiklak. Tom served on Municipal League for many, many years, and he is integrally very knowledgeable about Municipal League and what they offer. So I would suggest a quick call to Tom.
Okay, thank you.
I wouldn't see how they would stop us from going to the municipal league conferences where they do those breakout trainings, which are pretty good, FOIA and different things like that. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, why don't you call them and see?
Okay, happy to.
Anything else about that?
No, and I mean, this was just more of, I think that the education and making sure that we're keeping updated on anything. Like you said, there's been, with the at-large, three different ordinances. We get a lot of feedback from the public. I'll be sitting and eating dinner with my husband and I'm being asked questions, and the truth of the matter is I'm not qualified to answer some of those questions, and when I go to the law, there's 3 different ones. And so I just think that having the appropriate education or training helps us. And so I will, if it's okay, I will follow up on that then and report back.
Of course, no training is free. Even municipal league, they charge to go to the conference and stuff. And I know HTC receives some state funding for training, but again, it's not free. They sometimes have to come up with the money to pay for that. So, okay. Is that it for that topic?
Yes, thank you.
Number C, business feedback check-in. Also, Heather.
Yes, as I mentioned, I don't cook a lot, so I go out to eat a lot, and a lot of people are not shy about stopping me, which I think is great. And I am getting a lot of feedback from businesses, like downtown businesses. They're up, is what I'm hearing. The 62 businesses are down, is also what I'm hearing. And without putting anyone on the spot, we have business owners at this table. And I just wondered what feedback others might be receiving and might be hearing. And if we can also be thinking about our collectors outside of the downtown area, because they are incredibly important too. And I think that sometimes the sentiment is that they're not as featured or supported. This is me sharing feedback, so I don't know that that's the case. That's just how they feel.
Could I comment on that?
Sure.
When I was talking with our Madden report a while ago, we were talking about our emerging markets, our core markets, and our growth markets. And we talked about pulling back in some of those new emerging markets like Paducah, Kentucky, and also maybe up in some other places. But to take those dollars and to reallocate them to, again, the 4 to 5 hour drive market. To go ahead and really kind of push a little harder in some of those markets. And that's the Tulsa and Oklahoma City, so forth, that are really our bread and butter markets. Houston is certainly coming on board, but not certainly like Dallas-Fort Worth is. Dallas is number one with a bullet. In fact, we looked at X&A flights just today or yesterday, and the amount of X&A business is basically so much of it's coming out of DFW. We get it from all over. So I think one of the things that we're trying to do, and it may help the 62 drive, if you will, is that we are really pushing harder on what we can do to kind of shrink that little gap or that little circle that we're trying to work on and be more penetrable in some of those markets that maybe are a little soft. So that's one of the things we're reallocating some funding on.
Over the years, I've heard people come down screaming, the sky's falling, business is down 35% all over town. But then when you look at our numbers, black and white numbers, it doesn't show that. And that's what I keep saying. How come you keep saying we're down, but then when we look at the numbers, we're okay? Because there's some shifts in business. Sometimes the restaurants are doing better than the shops, and excuse me, lodging is doing better than restaurants, and then that kind of shifts with time. So I think there's a lot of, I'd just be really cautious about the rumors and stuff, what people think is going on, is to look at the real numbers about it and say, well, this is what our numbers is saying. So as long as our numbers are still going up, I'm not going to scream the sky is falling. And also the confidence in the market and stuff. If people run around yelling things are going bad, then people will hold back on spending money and stuff too. So I always caution people, don't say things are bad if you don't know for sure they're bad, because then you can make them bad, just because people stop spending money because they think it's getting bad. So hope that makes sense.
I mean, I can add to that part. I mean, like being in the lodging business part, lodging is down. But the only way to compensate your loss in nightly rentals is increasing your rate. And at the bottom line, you might collect more money, but with less nights sold. Right. And as long as we only check on the tax revenue, how much money we made. I mean, like everybody knows, like if you went to a restaurant 5 years ago, 2 people, you could walk out with $45 maybe, or even less. Now it's $65. And I mean, it's still the same 2 people who are eating, and the taxes are calculated on the $65. So the city can say, oh, we make more taxes, so everything is booming. No, it's not. We just have become very much more expensive. And I think we're at the point that, Arkansas or Eureka Springs used to be a affordable place to spend vacation. And it seems like we're getting more and more expensive. And I can, if I speak for my business, and I know from others, I had a couple conversations with hotel owners, and they all say that nights are down. The sold nights are down. But the revenue, I mean, the money collected, it is on a similar level like previous years. So if you look at it from that point of view, you could say, well, you're operating more successful because you're renting your room to a higher amount. But that's not really the right way to look at it. I mean, fact is, like, we have less people sleeping in this town. On top of that, we have hotels, they close down, and the remaining hotels and motels, they should be overrun with those guests who want to stay somewhere because they can't go back to, let's say, Land on Oat, or if we even go back to 1876, which is closed for many years. And there's other places they turned from a hotel to long-term rentals. Where are those people? They should all go to the remaining places, but they're not. I mean, so I don't feel like we're overrun. I'm not complaining that we're doing bad or so, but the point is we have less nights sold to a higher price.
But looking at the indicators, what are the indicators? Anything else about that? Anybody? So D, we move down commissioner qualifications / bios. Heather?
Yeah, thanks for indulging me on all of my topics.
No problem.
One of the things that's cool about serving on a commission is that you have a collective group of people who all bring different backgrounds, talents, strengths, and experiences. And we have business owners sitting at this table. We have professionals sitting at this table. I also get a lot of feedback on what are the qualifications of commissioners and the CAP staff. I tell people, go look at my LinkedIn. That's easy for me to do. I don't know what the solution is, and I don't even know that it needs to be solutioned. But I do think it's fair when you have a body and a group of people handling, responsible for budgets in the millions of dollars, that the public asks, why are you qualified to be in that seat? I also think it's fair to say, well, if you think that you can do it, come and apply. But I do think it's fair to say, we have business owners running lodging, restaurants with backgrounds and with this is not your first time at the rodeo. And so I don't know what that is, and I don't know what that is for the staff. If it's just, on some websites, if it's like meet the team and you have a little blurb next to your pictures, or it's ideas, you can take them or leave them. I know, Ty, you just really want to get your picture taken. But I think that it's worth, at some point, exploring more so that people understand who is behind the CAPC. I think that, in general, the commission and the staff has done an amazing job at being way more community-facing. I think people are saying that and agreeing with it, but they're still asking, who, what is the background of that person? And I'm like, truthfully, I kind of know, but I don't actually know. So that's something to think about.
Yeah, who updates the website on who the commissioners are? Because I know I looked at it the other day and Bradley T. Green's still on there, which of course he just quit, but.
Caitlin, we'll go ahead and charge her with that. It's not a bad idea. I mean, I think there's a legitimacy to that, and you see it with other A&P commissions periodically, who's who. And then sometimes you find out who they are, and you're going,
Oh, believe me, I know.
Well, have we received any applications? I mean, obviously, we need a restaurant owner, right? To fill that seat.
HMR, hotel, motel, restaurant.
No.
I have talked
I've
talked with 6 different people.
I thought like 2 hotel.
No.
I mean, we have 2 lodging, Shira and I, and then we have.
And David is last.
David, I think you're considered the restaurant.
I don't know if I count as restaurant or not since I'm appointed by council.
Oh, no, you're appointed, you're appointed by council. So Colin is restaurant.
It doesn't make a difference if you're restaurant or
And Bradley was
lodging.
representing.
It's just that you are in that business, either of lodging or food, one of the two. It doesn't make a difference. You have 4 people that are all in food.
Have to be a representative of the collectors.
Right.
Let's see, bylaws.
I think that's another one of
thought
those
we had-
conflicting bylaw things.
It should be 2 restaurant and 2 lodging.
Yeah, I think you're right, Robert, actually.
And I don't know what Colin's intentions are, but it is something for us to think about, that I believe his commission expires in June,
June 30th.
and that is coming up very quickly.
Yeah, okay, it doesn't split exactly.
It doesn't split it.
It says 4 members of the restaurant or lodging community.
Oh, yeah.
One of them. But I guess to fill the seat, it would be cool to have a restaurant owner or manager
Well,
to kind of get the whole thing
beggars
balanced.
can't be choosy though either.
Right, we need applications.
If we're not getting people to apply, then.
So we don't have any applications, Mike, for commissioners?
And I think that is an important thing to reiterate to folks, is that we are a volunteer commission. We're not paid to do this, and we are coming because we care about our community and we want everyone to thrive together. And so we are bringing the best that we have to the table to try to make things great for Eureka Springs.
Maybe we should change the volunteer part
The what?
to.
Oh, you're going to get paid.
What part, what'd you say?
The volunteer part.
Oh,
He's saying we should be paid.
The application is on the website along with the form to go ahead and fill out and submit. So we're more than, and it's in the partner section of visiteurexsprings.com. So, yeah.
And I will say that when I've asked people to apply, their first thing is, well, I'll go through so much drama. And, we haven't gone through drama since we got rid of who, and it's been very pleasant. It's been
We're boring.
wonderful.
We're boring now.
So I just have to remind them of that. That's where we were. This is where we are now.
Mike and I talked about this the other day, and your general response from people is they're too busy.
Yeah,
They-
true.
Their businesses, keep using up all their time, and they don't have time.
I
even
don't want to
for
hear
two
that.
minutes.
I'm sorry, I'm busy.
I was also going to just add to that and say that if people would like to know us and how we feel, they're welcome to show up to every single meeting that we have.
Thank
And I'd
you.
love to interact with folks, and I know
Damon
my
does.
fellow commissioners would as well, that we welcome people talking to us and coming to be a part of things.
We are open to anybody talking to us.
Yeah.
All right, is that it for that?
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Always open to talk about any issue. Commissioner comments, we'll start with David.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to the CAP staff for the Music Awards show. It was truly phenomenal. Honestly, I thought it was just going to be like a stick figure on a block of wood kind of thing, but y'all really outdid yourself, and it was a lot of fun. Hopefully now you know what Eureka Springs does when you say black tie.
Yes.
I also want to thank Main Street and the auditorium for allowing them to refinish the back of this portion of the auditorium. If you haven't seen it, please go back and take a look at it. It looks phenomenal. I sent one of my managers out here, and he loved the class, so it was great. And I just want to say, today is Wednesday. It is the start of a major weekend here in Eureka Springs. Thousands of people will be visiting us. And as I walked part of downtown tonight, more than half of the businesses were closed. I think I don't understand. Do not come to me complaining that you don't have sales during the weekend when your doors are locked and your closed sign is on the door. It doesn't work that way.
Heather?
Also, huge congratulations to all of the Eureka Springs Music Award winners and nominees. Very heartfelt thank you to the volunteers and staff who brought it to life. It was awesome. My husband and I had a blast. I have to say that the production, I'm just really grateful for the level of professionalism of the CAP staff. I mean, it was outstanding. I did not expect what we received. We're really lucky to have the commitment from you that we do. You set a very high bar. I was practically in tears. Q1 SEO update, I could fall out of my chair. $1 million in earned media and a 10% SEM click-through rate. For those maybe listening or who will watch that back later, those numbers just don't happen. They do not just happen. That is the creme de la creme, and it has to be said. I hope that this example will set the tone that other areas of this city will aspire to. I truly do. And I'm sorry, I apologize because I know you don't like the attention. I have got to call out Ty, who took on that mess months ago so gracefully, fixed it much faster than I think anybody could have expected or hoped for, answers every question without skipping a beat, greets us with patience, transparency, is thorough, and those financial reports are awesome. Thank you. It makes a big difference, and you understand the gravity of why they're so important. There is an opening on the commission, and I encourage businesses who want to continue collaborating with each other and our community and our visitors to apply. Thank you.
Robert?
Well, Heather took my point. I wanted to say thank you to Ty. That's right. I think we now have reports. We even get them in advance so we can see what's going on financially, and that's a great plus. I mean, we're not in the dark like we were for some time before, and of course the people who were here before I was here, they know what I'm talking about. So thank you for that, and continue what you're doing. Of course, a big thank to the rest of the staff always to answer our questions to the best of their knowledge and not get mad if we ask the same thing twice or three times. And this weekend is big. 3 events, main events. I know Damon was listing a whole lot more. I didn't even know about them. So it's going to be a busy weekend. Hopefully the weather will keep up. The temperature-wise, we're okay. Rain, I'm not sure. But I hope we will see a lot of sun always. And we're prepared. So, and the ones who are interested in the CAPC, don't say bad things about us. Come sit here. There's a seat available. And also Colin, he should come back, like we miss him.
Shira?
Well, obviously, David, Heather, and Robert all took mine, so I don't have much to say. However, I would like to thank everybody for understanding that the marketing liaison job is newer for me, and so if your patience is much appreciated as I feel out what is important to bring to the table as the commissioner reporting on that. So thanks so much.
We'll let you go first next time.
Oh, thanks. You may get a really similar response just from the beginning. I might be like David and Heather and Robert are going to say what I was going to say.
The Rica Springs Music Awards were amazing. I was so impressed with how well it was put on. Heather's dress was, did you buy that just for that event?
I did.
Wow.
Thank you.
If you didn't see it, you should see a picture of it. It was pretty cool. But, that impressed me when I walked down into the auditorium and saw the staff working. Danielle was up on the stage being one of the co-hosts. Mike was behind the board and he's up on the stage presenting. Then I walked behind the stage and here's Ty, crouched back there with his ball cap on, his black shirt and stuff, and he's running the board. And, it just shows you how the staff all pull together and work as a team. It's amazing, and it was so well done. I was very impressed. But someone said black tie. I love the fact that Eureka Springs, you can wear a tux or you can wear a pair of jeans and T-shirt. Austin was that way, and I lived in Austin a long time. Mm-hmm. I love that. You can dress up if you want to, but you don't have to. We're not Dallas, so you can wear whatever you want. So workshop, our tentative date for the workshop is May 14th. We don't have any topics right now. If somebody has any topics, please let us know. We'll schedule the workshop. Again, as chair, I don't like having meetings if we don't have something to talk about. So if we don't have a topic, then we won't have a workshop. But our next meeting will meet May 28th, and we'll have that for sure, 6 p.m. here at the Odd. Also, one thing that's not getting much advertising, the cemetery is starting doing historical tours on Saturday at 11 o'clock starting in May. It's not going to compete with Voices. It's going to be more of a historic perspective of how the cemetery came about and some of the symbolism down there. And it's $20 for a shot. You can buy a ticket on the website. I'm volunteering to be one of the tour guides with my costume I just bought, so I'm looking very forward to being out there performing. And someone said, you can do that? And I'm like, if I can face down an angry mob, I think I could do a tour of the cemetery. So it's like, all right. That's all I have. Thanks for volunteering, everybody. We appreciate it. And Colin, I'm not sure why he's not here, but he is still committed to being on the commission. So I talked to him the other day. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
David made the motion. Robert seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. We are adjourned. Thank you.